Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the f*** up.
And new undisputed UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael the Count Bisping.
This is Believe You Me on the Gas Digital Network.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Believe You Me podcast. Sorry, I was looking at my laptop there. I've gone all professional. I've gone high tech, Lewis. I've got microphones. I've got PCs. I've got lights. I've got laptops to look at notes. I don't need Harrington. I don't need an outside third-party person providing me with details. I have Google. Okay, and I also have a brain, which is generally what I use. But Monday morning, how are we all doing? I'm back. I'm back on the workout routine. I'm recovering from my surgery. I am going to be annoying on Instagram pretty soon.
Yeah, I have to do it. I've been putting it off, and we were doing so well. Titan Michael Hearn, he gave us this workout. We were taunting each other in the gym every day. It was pretty bad. It was obnoxious. People, they were getting annoyed with us as it was, but I would send Bisping a video. He would send me one back. We were tagging Michael Hearn.
I was lifting considerably more weights in my videos, Yeah, we were sending videos back and forth to one another. But let's remember, if, for example, we were doing a lat pull down, mine was on 250 pounds and yours was on 170. But other than that, yeah, we were doing the same thing.
I don't know that you're stronger than me. I mean, you're more athletic. But just with throwing weights around, just throwing weights around the gym.
I had this with Callum the other day. We have a pull-up bar in the garage, and we were doing sets of pull-ups. We did 4 sets of 12. And, the last couple of sets, I was really, really struggling. You know what I mean? I'd stop at 6 and take a second and then do 3 more. And he's like, hey, Dad, look at this. I'm like, yes, son. You're 18 years old, okay? You haven't got an ounce of fat on you. I have got a 25-pound or 30 pounds weights vest on, a natural weights vest that I never paid for. Well, in fact, I did pay for. Stella and cheeseburgers aren't free. But, so I had a weights vest on. There you go.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I couldn't do one set of 12 full extension pull-ups right now. I can get 3 good ones.
Pull-ups are hard. Pull-ups are hard. And people
suck dick. Dude, can I tell you the problem? All right, so Michael Hearn gives us incredible workout, okay?
I still do them.
You have a fucking home gym. I have an apartment, okay? I got 1 kettlebell and a little band. That's all I got, okay? So Michael Hearn gives us this incredible workout, and I'm really getting into it. We're throwing weight around. It's great. I feel like I'm putting on size. My arms are looking fucking great. Ooh. The problem is now I'm at home, and not only am I not motivated, but the type of workout that I can do at home is the shit that I hate. So it's like the calisthenics and the plyometrics, the bear crawls and the all the stuff and the planks, all the shit that you can do at home that will get you in great shape is the shit that I hate with an absolute passion.
So I'm going to say something to you right now, and you're no doubt, I know what your rebuttal will be, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Don't put words in
when
my
I
mouth.
was training for a fight, the number one thing that I would do to get in shape, and people would talk to me all the time about it, and Marlon Chito Vera, who came on last week, he wanted to ask me about my conditioning, and he messaged me as well. Running, Lewis. There is nothing in the world that gets you in better shape than running. Now, I'm paying the price. I've got 2 messed up knees, but you don't need a gym, and I'm pretty sure you're not going to get a fine off of some bloody over-the-top cop if you've got your headphones in and you're just running down the street. You're running through New York. You're inspiring people as you go, Lewis. You're jumping over the homeless people. It's like a little obstacle course as you go. Don't step on the cracks. Jump over the homeless people. Catch 3 stray cats as you go. You know what I mean? So you're burning a lot of calories. You're getting in the best shape of your life. All I'm hearing from you, Lewis, is excuses. And that's not not an attractive quality, if I'm honest.
Hey, you know what? You're right. When you're right, you're right. And I got to be honest with you, I really like running. When I'm in shape,
do you?
Yes, I did the best shape I'm ever in my entire life is when I'm running. And it's just 3-4 days a week. If I add 30 minutes of running 4 days a week on top of lifting weights, I just burn through the fat. I get in great shape. I know we talked about this in a couple of shows ago, but it's like I'm making a fucking decision to not be the best me right now. I don't feel as good. I don't look as good. I have to just make that decision. And as I'm talking to you about this right now, I'm trying to inspire myself. And I want to get, after we do the show, I want to get up and just fucking hit the pavement and start running.
Well, that's what I was doing as well. I kind of gave up on everything the last few weeks because you're right, we were doing that and we were gearing towards this whole, we're going to take our shirts off and who's looked the best and all the rest of it. I'll be honest, I was in the garden at the weekend and the staff, the bow staff, which is essentially a long stick, you know, in jiu-jitsu, Japanese jiu-jitsu, you use bow staffs. And I used to do this little demonstration when I was a kid. So I had Lucas on the bow staff and we started like working towards a little routine, you know, just blocking some attacks and whatnot. And he really enjoyed it. But to record the routine, and it was nice weather here on Saturday. So we're in the garden all day. I had my shirt off, soaking up a little bit of sun. And I put the video camera on to film it so we could recall what we did, you know, and trying to add on to the routine. And then when I watched it back, I was like, holy shit, look at me. I've definitely let myself go. But, you know, sometimes it's nice to do that, to have a little reset. Because, you know, when you're in this race every day and you're trying to look good and you're working out, sometimes it is nice to say, you know what, bollocks to it all. I'm going to sit on my ass. I'm going to enjoy myself. We're on fucking lockdown. We can't leave the house. I'm going to have a beer tonight. Okay. And I'm going to have a Thai takeaway. I'm going to have a curry. I'm going to have a little dessert. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not encouraging everyone out there to be a fat bastard, but what I'm saying is now and again, it's nice to do that. And I did it for a few weeks. To be fair, it did coincide with the knee surgery, but now I'm able to like walk around a bit more. I did a Peloton class this morning, so no more. These cheekbones, you're going to see them again in another week or two, Lewis. They are on their way back.
Well, to be honest with you, I would also, the other reason I want to go outside and run is just because you've really convinced me that it's a dangerous world out there. You know, I feel like I'm probably going to catch some sort of disease. I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to give it to my friends and family members. I might give it through to you through the miracle of technology. We do this podcast together. We don't know that the coronavirus can't travel via podcast waves, Bisping.
Can you stop going on about running, not the coronavirus, running, okay? I can't run. It was one of my favorite things to do. That was my form of meditation. I would go out, I would hit the streets, I would put my headphones on, listen to my music, I would think about things, I would clear my mind, I would push myself, and when I got back, I was all nice and good. I got away from the kids, away from the family, away from that day-to-day bullshit, and I just clear my mind and have a great run, come back, sweat, feel great, awesome, and go about my day. And now I can't do that. It's a joy that's been taken away from me forever. And you just got to gloat. You got to rub it in my face. Just take a second, Lewis, to think about me. Okay, when you're gloating on about your running. But in all seriousness, anybody out there right now that is struggling because they don't have a home gym. I know people don't like to run. Everybody hates to run. But if you go out and you just take it easy, every time you run, it doesn't have to be a race. It doesn't have to be sprinting down the streets trying to get your best time or anything like that. Just go for a nice, leisurely, gentle jog. It's nice. And the time goes past. Go for a nice, gentle jog. And in fact, that's the best way of losing weight.
Yeah, you're right. But it is also, I will say that it's so easy for people that do it, right? So it's easy for you or I who,
it's not easy for me.
Well, it's not easy for you to run right now, but it's easy for you to fucking mentally get to a place where you can exercise for an hour and a half. People that don't exercise or people that are like overweight and they've never been in shape, it's a really difficult mental block. I can think back to a time before I had ever been in shape, before I had ever run a mile. Like I'd never run a mile in my entire life. And I can think back, it was in my mid-20s where I had just, being fat was just part of life. It wasn't like, it was never even an idea that I could be in shape or I could, you know, much less have abs or whatever. Like that was a crazy thing. And it was a lack of education. And I had no idea that it was, 6 months away. It was literally a decision. And I could be 6 months away from being in really good shape, feeling good, looking good. And I almost wish I could go back in time and tell myself when I was 10 or 11 or 12 years old, when I'm a little fat kid, that it's like, no, it's so simple. It really is. But if you don't know it, it's like, imagine somebody tells you to run a race without a finish line. It's like, you're like, I'm not going to run that race. That sounds crazy.
Well, I wouldn't say it's simple, but I hear what you're saying. I'm not trying to disagree with you, but for those people that are listening to this right now that are obese, that have weight problems, I mean, you were big, we've spoke about this. You were very, very big at one point. I What the hell was that? What are we
That was
hearing
my
here?
buzzer. It's probably just delivery to my door, so I'm going to ignore it.
Jesus Christ. Can you tell everybody in New York that when you're doing this podcast, please, no interruptions. I will not have this, okay? Can you send a memo to all 9 million people?
You're jarring my buzzer is?
Well, it's probably a little less right now because, you know, New York's getting hit because everybody has your attitude. But whatever. We won't get into that.
Do they? Nobody has my attitude. It's fucking shut down. It's a ghost town here. It's like fucking that Will Smith movie.
Yeah. And that's why it's going to pass. It's going to pass. But anyway, no, anyone out there listening to this right now, first thing, just walk out the front door, go for a walk. You know what I mean? Go for a walk. And then next time, walk a bit faster, then a brisk walk. And then all of a sudden, before you know, what is this? You're having a gentle jog. You're fucking jogging. You're really doing it. You're going down the street. You're wiping your brow. You're sweating. Next minute, you're investing in a headband. Maybe some wristbands, a better pair of running shoes. Next minute, it's tight-fitting spandex pants, okay, with a vest, okay? You've got
some long socks.
You've got a heart rate monitor attached to your arm. You're fucking sprinting. You're
I'm
like,
so excited, and
What's
I just
up?
can't hide it.
Fucking sprinting through, living your best life. That could be you. Anybody there listening to this? No, but do that. Do that. Go out and get a walk.
You know what it is? I think this is the problem because when you don't know, and I don't know how athletic you were as a kid, Bisping. You told me you weren't really athletic. Like you did martial arts. I don't know how much conditioning they were doing when you were like a kid with the martial arts you were doing. But it was like, I think when you go and work out, I remember when I was a kid, the first time I worked out, when I was like in like the 7th grade, 8th grade, or whatever it is, I was like, I'm going to try to get in shape. I was like, I'm going to try to go do a workout routine. Day one, you're so sore, you're so sweaty, you don't know what you're doing. And then you see you're not seeing any results for, minimum 3-4 weeks where you can actually visibly look in the mirror and see something, right? But I didn't even know that much. So it just seemed like this impossible task. You do 2 days, you're like, what the fuck is going on? There's no change. There's no nothing. I just feel worse. I'm sore. I have fucking shin splints. And you need to sort of educate people that don't really know what's going on. And you got to say, no, it's going to take a month. But after a month, there's no question. If you cut out just sugar and pasta and bread, and go and walk and elevate your heart rate. Just walk fast 4 days a week for 30 minutes a day. If you're fat, you will see a huge noticeable difference in 1 month. Guaranteed.
And I stand by that. And I say you're absolutely right. But the most important factor, what you mentioned there, is the diet. You can't out-exercise a bad diet, simple as that. So whatever your vices are, if it's alcohol, if you drink a lot of beer, switch to vodka, okay? Less calories, okay? Take it from a pro, trust me. I know these things.
You're smoking a lot of weed? Try some blow. You're going to probably kill your appetite, raise your heart rate. Come on, bitch. Stop being still lazy fucking pothead.
Just develop a serious heroin problem. Before you know it, you'll be dead. You'll be skinny as fuck in no time.
All the money you would spend on food, spend on hard drugs. And
Class A's.
Class A's.
Class A's only, and you're going to lose a ton of weight. No, anyway, we went off on a bit of a tangent there. We got a good show planned today. A good friend of ours, hilarious comedian. You might know him from the MMA Roasted podcast. Adam Hunter will be joining us later in the day.
Just a few minutes, actually, to be honest.
No, well, just a few minutes. Okay, but whatever. Well, when he comes on, he can just sit in the corner like a good little boy and shut the fuck up. He can chime in here and there, but if he overspeaks, if he interrupts me once, we're going to have some serious issues.
Bisping does not like being interrupted. Let me tell you, firsthand experience.
Talking of serious issues, right before we started this show, our trusted producer, Brian, who does be on time, who does send the emails, who does do everything correct, Harrington, came up with a serious issue, a story, which he said, have you guys seen this? And the answer was no. And this is like, it's one of those topics you got to be careful of discussing. But Brian, why don't you explain what I'm talking about here? I don't know. It's about NASCAR. I don't know anything about NASCAR really, but Brian, go ahead.
So the NASCAR drivers are holding virtual events that are not sanctioned by NASCAR during the time where they're not allowed to be out by people. And this dude, Kyle Larson, dropped an N-bomb on a live stream on Twitch and NASCAR.com.
Yeah.
Can you play the video?
I got the video right here.
So
Oh, you got a video.
So, all right. So I guess what they're doing, it's essentially they do it on Twitch. It's a video game version of these NASCAR. I mean, even before you start playing it, how realistic are these video games? Like, would a NASCAR driver have an advantage or be better driving at this game than your kid if you practice? I can't wrap my head around this is something that anybody would give a shit about.
Yeah, hold on a minute. So what are they? So they're racing against each other in a virtual game. Does this have any kind of standing on the NASCAR like rankings and things like that, or is this just some kind of form of entertainment for NASCAR fans to watch?
Yes, it's essentially
sanctioned event.
So what I'm assuming it is, it's sort of a virtual, like an esports league that are taking NASCAR drivers. Of course, they have downtime. They're probably getting sponsorship dollars, whatever it is. So he is doing this race, and my understanding is he does not realize that he's actually streaming. He thinks that he can just be communicating with his essential virtual pit crew. Correct, Brian?
Yeah. So here, I'm going to play the video.
So he doesn't realize that he's actually streaming to the world. He thinks he's just speaking to his.
And this is our guy down here in the bottom left with the glasses and the beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see it. You can hear me? Hey, nigga. Wow, hey.
Yo, nice one, man.
Kyle, you're talking to everyone, bud.
He said, "Kyle, you're talking to everyone."
I never heard the bit in question though. I heard.
Oh, you can hear it. He goes. You guys there? You guys there? You guys there? Hey, N-word.
Oh. Oh. Oh,
Yeah.
got it there.
So what's going on? Our Bisping, good.
No, I was going to say, so basically, essentially, he's been indefinitely suspended from the NASCAR organization. So essentially lost his job until what, Brian? You got any more info? I'm looking at a story right here.
It just says indefinitely.
Just says indefinitely suspended.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude. Here's what happened there. Okay?
It says NASCAR membership is a privilege. With that privilege comes certain benefits, responsibilities, and obligations. Correct and proper conduct, both on and off the racetrack, is part of a member's responsibilities. A member actions can reflect upon the sport as a whole and on other NASCAR members. Ideally, NASCAR members are role models for many fans who follow this sport, regardless of the type of license a member may hold or the specific series in which a member may participate. Therefore, NASCAR views a member's conduct both on and off the racetrack, which might constitute a behavior rules violation under this rule book, with great importance. Then it goes on to say, public statement and or communication that criticizes, ridicules, or otherwise disparages another person based upon that person's race, color, creed, national origin, gender, sexual orientation, marital status, religion, age, or handicapping condition.
So, I mean, look, here's the thing. He's playing by a different set of rules. He's got a corporate job. The UFC has a similar thing. Like you have a certain code of conduct that if you get in trouble outside of the UFC, it will fuck you. Now, what he was doing there was he was doing what fucking dumb white guys do when they don't think anybody's listening, is they make dumb racist jokes to their friends. And I'm not going to say that he's a bad person because of that. I don't know that he's even racist because of that. He fucked up. But I kind of understand what happened with NASCAR. I feel bad for the guy ultimately. You know, he ruined his life probably.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. Of course, I don't know anything about Kyle Larson. I think that was his name. I don't know anything about him. I don't know his background. But yeah, just like NASCAR said in that statement that I said, they have to hold all their drivers and commentators, anybody that's involved, to a certain level, just like the UFC does, just like any sports league. And you can't be out there using that kind of language. And this is coming from me, right? We mess around on this podcast. We push it close to the edge at times. I feel like we do a good job of not stepping over that edge, though. But we're guys, and we're old school type of guys in terms of our sense of humor. But we don't throw around those kind of words. Well, I certainly don't. And I'll tell you right now, I can only speak from my perspective as a UFC commentator. If I was doing that, if I was using that kind of language on communications, on comms, as we call it, in the know, certainly not even if I was on air, because a lot of the time we used to have this when I was at Fox Sports, okay? When I was at Fox Sports and we'd be wired into our IFBs, right? And we'd talk. And when we were off air, let's say on commercial breaks, we'd talk. Me and Kenny would talk. Me and DC would talk, right? And I'd get a little ear in my a little word in my ear every now and again. Say, hey, Mike, just to let you know, the entire studio can hear you right now. Whoever, no, but meaning the entire building of Fox Sports, all the big wigs, if they decide, I want to tune into Studio 17 right now and see what they're saying, so they can hear your conversations. So maybe keep your private tales to yourself, or whatever you're talking about right now. Maybe shut the fuck up.
Right.
Okay. But I'd still do it. I'd be like, well, I don't give a fuck. And they'd be like, yeah, but you're using bad language.
You know, DC's on there too, so you're probably not using that word.
Well, I wasn't using that word. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying in general. But my point is, like, now with the ESPN also, like, I'll be talking off air and they'll say, hey, just so you know, in Bristol, Connecticut with the bases, they can all hear you right now. And even bad language, using swear words, is frowned upon. So I guarantee you right now, if I was throwing around that kind of language, even off air, not on air, even off air, I'd be out the door. And to be honest, rightly so.
Well, look, it's NASCAR. I couldn't imagine people that work for NASCAR not throwing around that word off there. Let's get real. But
I'm going to be careful. Playline has a deal with NASCAR, but I was going to say that. I was like, I went to a NASCAR event in Texas. Holy shit. I've never seen so many people wearing full camouflage regalia, like as if they were going duck hunting that day, with a bottle of whiskey, one tooth, maybe a cigarette wedged in between the tooth, you know, it's hanging out there. Yeah, listen, you know, but still,
hey, look, dude, like
he's not a redneck. He's one of the drivers. He's one of the drivers. He's not one of the redneck supporters. He's a driver, and they can't allow that. And it's a shame for that guy. And I'm sorry, Lewis, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I want to make this point. It's a shame for this guy. And he's probably never going to recover from that in terms of racing unless he's good enough. If he's one of the greats, then he'll go to some other kind of racing. He'll work his way up and he'll build a career. But there's a very, very good possibility. Listen, we've seen people's careers end over much less. Much less.
I mean, well, look, here's the I can't sit here and fucking demonize it. I do the Legion of Skanks podcast, which is the most offensive podcast on earth. We say fucking stupid shit all the time, but we are trying to be edgy comedians. That's a different thing, right? He's representing NASCAR. Like I represent nobody but myself. So I can't. The reality is this: he can easily come back from this. We've seen this happen before, right? So he didn't say it in a way that was hateful. He wasn't. If he was talking to a black person off air, and that's what happened, it'd be a tough pill to swallow. It'd be tough to come back from. But even then, we've seen shit happen. So you remember Dog the Bounty Hunter years ago? He was caught on audio. He was talking to his son because the son was dating a black woman. And he was like, I forget exactly what he said, but he was saying it in a really fucking vicious way. It wasn't funny. It wasn't anything. It was really nasty and very, very visceral. And then the other time, Hulk Hogan.
I was going to say Hulk Hogan, right? Well, what happened with Hulk Hogan?
His daughter. He came back. Yeah, she was dating a basketball player, or maybe I don't remember all the details. But once again, in a very racist, non-kidding way, very, very negative and nasty. These people were able to still come back. So I'm not going to, a guy who's joking around.
Whoa. Hold on. Let me stop you right there. First of all, we're talking the godfather of the WWE, Hulk Hogan. Okay.
He wants.
He can say whatever the fuck he wants. He's the Hulk. The Hulkamaniacs out there will have his back. And then you got one even better. We're talking Dog, the motherfucking bounty hunter. Okay. The biggest white trash piece of shit. That's his entire brand. His entire brand is white trash pieces of shit. I'm joking, by the way. I'm not making excuses. No, I don't think this guy's. But the point that I was making, though, that it was Hulk Hogan and Dog the Bounty Hunter does have his own reality TV show, or had one, whatever his status is now. And it was just him. The whole brand was just him and his wife and that little bunch of misfits that they have in Hawaii. This is different. He's part of a big sporting organization that, by the way, NASCAR is a struggling sport, right? I do believe the numbers are starting to dwindle. They're going down. And they have to be seen to do the right thing here. So Kyle Larson, you're talking Hulk Hogan, we're talking Dog the Bounty Hunter. Prior to this discussion, no, I'm not giving Hulk Hogan a pass, but I'm saying Kyle fucking Larson. Kyle Larson isn't going to get off with this shit, okay, Kyle?
He's not an icon.
He's not an icon. I've never heard of the motherfucker. You don't get a pass. You can't use that kind of language. Good luck playing fucking Forza for the rest of your life, doggy.
Yeah. What a fool. What an idiot.
No.
This is why honestly people in our age bracket shouldn't be able to use the internet. We just don't know any better.
Well, let me throw you this out there because Callum was telling me a story the other day that one of his buddies at school, there was a song on, a rap song, and excuse me, and it was a Dr. Dre song. Da-na-na-na-na. What was it the last episode or the next episode? Pardon me. And the N-word gets dropped a lot in rap songs, and his buddy was rapping away and rapped the entire lines, right, and dropped the N-word in a line, and he was singing. And then one of the guys on the team he's a black kid, and he went up and said, "Yo, what the fuck, man?" And then started giving him shit. But he was like, "Well, I was only singing. That's the song. I was singing the song." But they still had an issue. I'm not making excuses for him, and we don't know that this guy is racist. But unfortunately, this is what is going to happen because they have to make an example of him because they have to be seen to do the right thing, and it would be the right thing. But the point of making
the guy.
It is a minefield, right? And you shouldn't. It's not part of my vocabulary. It's not part of my vocabulary. But in a lot of music, it is there, and it is a word that unfortunately is used far too often. Now, I am in no way. I just want to make this point one more time. I'm not justifying him saying that. I'm not excusing him saying that, and I'm saying rightly so. NASCAR are going to have to do the right thing here. But I do have. I don't know. In the context he used it in, I think he was fucking around, trying to be funny.
Yeah, he wasn't being malicious or hateful. And by the way, literally, if I heard somebody using the N-word in a malicious or hateful way, I'd be the first person. First of all, they're probably using it toward me, but I'd be the first person to step up and say something. I mean, I was a legitimate victim of racism. Where I grew up, it was a white trash neighborhood, and I was the only brown kid in my neighborhood. So that word was thrown at me regularly.
Listen. You and Mike Perry, why don't you go get a house together, Mr. 1%?
I'm brown. I'm an Afro Puerto Rican. Have you ever seen my father?
Afro Puerto Rican. That's a new one.
Afro Puerto Rican. Yeah.
Since when? You have never, in all the years we've worked together, you have never referred to yourself as Afro Puerto Rican. Lewis, I'm sorry.
You've never cared enough to ask.
There is a lot of people. There's real people struggling every single day, and you're going to make light, and you're going to try and put yourself in their bracket and make light of that situation.
What are you saying? That black people are below Puerto Rican?
No,
people?
you're trying to refer to yourself as an Afro Puerto Rican. You're not. You're a Puerto Rican rattlesnake, right? You're a Puerto Rican piece of shit.
You have no culture.
But you're not Afro Puerto Rican. Show me your dreadlocks, man. Right about now. Just because you go to Jamaica every fucking time you can when you get free time doesn't make you a Jamaican man.
You have no respect for my culture. And Adam Hunter comes in at this time, and it's a good time. It's a good time because you have disrespected my Afro-Latino culture. You've disrespected my father, Hector Gomez, God rest his soul.
What's up, guys?
Okay. Well, hey, what's up? Welcome to the show, everybody. Adam Hunter in the house. We're just having an argument here. Some NASCAR driver got caught using the N-word in communications between his team, but it actually streamed out to the entire audience, if you will. So he's been suspended, and we're talking about this. And Lewis is giving his plight as an Afro-Puerto Rican.
I was called the N-word by white kids in my white trash neighborhood all growing up, and my experience is discounted.
You should have said, listen, you are incorrect. Take your venomous, racist hatred elsewhere because I'm Puerto Rican, okay?
So, Lewis, you're saying you should be able to use the N-word? Is that what you're trying to...
I'm saying, yes, I should be able to use the N-word.
There it is.
It's as simple as that. Thank you, Adam, for understanding my point.
I'm from New York. In New York, Puerto Ricans are usually allowed to use the N-word. It's sort of a New York thing.
Bisping's never encountered Puerto Ricans. He uses Mexicans that he fucking hires to clean his house. By the way, probably still coming in the middle of the coronavirus, traipsing in and out, bringing diseases in and out to the world. But he's social distancing, sure.
Stop. Yeah. Well, okay. You want to hear the truth? You want to know the fucking truth? Seeing as you're trying to badmouth me on my own podcast. Here you go. This is me. I don't talk about this stuff. I'm not looking for a medal. You know the maids? I know they depend on that money. They need that money because they're not working. Guess what I do?
Everybody needs their money.
Guess what I fucking do? I give them their money every week for not doing the job because I know
they don't come.
They don't come. We did it, but I know they need that money, so I still pay them the $160 every week. We leave it on the doorstep in an envelope for them.
There was some fight that you didn't show up to and you got paid. So
there was never a fight that I never showed up to, you prick. Listen, this is not the Adam Hunter podcast with Jason Miller. Okay, don't come on here and start abusing me. Right? If you want to abuse anybody, abuse Lewis. You two go on a comedy roast back and forth. I'll just sit here and judge it. Go ahead.
There was never one fight. You're absolutely right. You have to every single fight. It was
Mike, we gotta thank Native Deodorants, which I love. The Native Deodorant team, they're amazing. They sent me a whole slew of different deodorants. I gotta be honest with you guys, I used to just get the generic store crap that smells like it smells like chemicals, to be honest. Now that I've been using Native, I've been using the coconut and vanilla. It's amazing. Okay, I smell delicious. It's fresh. It's all natural ingredients. I'm not putting crappy, weird chemicals on and into my body. Those chemicals seep into your pores, Mr. Bisping.
Listen, let me tell you, you look like you've been rubbing Native deodorant in your face because you're glowing, Lewis. Quarantine is suiting you. I'm telling you, your complexion is very, very good right now.
Go on.
But listen, I love the Native deodorant, but here's another essential task. Every day you want to shower, you want to clean, you want to put on your deodorant, but also you got to brush your teeth, okay? I know what people say about English people, but we brush our teeth twice a day, at least, if not more. And let me tell you, Native toothpaste is very, very natural. You know, you see all these natural toothpaste these days. You know, they don't have any of the chemicals, you know, anything like that. But they don't taste very good. In fact, my wife uses some of them prior to getting the Native stuff. And it's like brushing your teeth with like cement. You know, like dry, powdered cement is just not good. Most natural toothpaste feel like natural toothpaste during brushing. They're gritty. There's little to no foaming. There's limited freshening power. And without that clean mouth feeling that you expect after brushing your teeth, Native toothpaste use a special blend of naturally derived cleaners. They got a bunch of different flavors. They got it fluoride with fluoride free. They got the detoxifying charcoal in there as well. They got wild mint and peppermint. I mean, what more do you want? So check these out. It's all natural, no chemicals, none of that nasty stuff, all made without triclocerin, without sulfates, without artificial preservatives or parabens. Basically, all that stuff that isn't good for you, that's removed.
Exactly. And that's right now, while you're at home, you should be thinking about this more. You should be thinking a little bit more about your health, what you're putting into your body, what you're putting into your family's body. Now that you're spending more time with them, you should be reminded of this. Right now, we're also going to offer you a pretty amazing discount. Go to nativedeodorant.com and make sure you use the promo code BELIEVE. You save 20% off your entire order at checkout. So do that right now. Once again, that is nativedeodorant.com. Use that promo code BELIEVE. Save some money.
Yeah, also, there's one last point that we're not forgetting here, that we are forgetting, pardon me. You know, going out there, going out your house, going down the supermarket willy-nilly, braving the elements, okay, and potentially contracting the coronavirus. Well, no, you can get your toothpaste, you can get your deodorant, you get it delivered right to your door, so you don't have to do that. Not only are we giving you a massive 20% off, but we are stopping you from catching the coronavirus. I mean, what more do you want from this podcast? As Lewis said, go to nativedeodorant.com, use the code BELIEVE, 20% off, get your toothpaste, get your deodorant, don't catch the coronavirus. You're welcome. Okay, where were we? How you doing, Adam? How's lockdown treating you, bud?
Hey, you know what? Everyone's talking about how bored they are, but when you have a 2-year-old and no nanny, it's I mean, it's not brutal. I love it, but it's nonstop. I mean, it's just
no. It's first time coming on the podcast. You can't come on here and open with, dude, having a 2-year-old and no nanny. Okay, you're separating yourself from all the listeners. No, I don't have a nanny. You got a nanny, Lewis?
No, there was no nanny.
This guy's over here bitching that he doesn't have a nanny.
Well, Bisping had a nanny, but he just would leave her money on the front steps. And she would pick it up like a wild dog.
I'm saying my wife works, and when I'm on the road, what do you do, Lewis? It's just when you're on the road, does your ex work, or you guys don't have help?
Yeah, no. We have babysitters that will help out. You know, there's a lot of broke ass comedians that are looking for $20 an hour. I'll tell you that much.
And you leave your kids with them?
Yeah, I really do. It's been a problem.
Yeah, social services are going to be calling pretty quickly, pretty quick. So Adam, we were thinking we've got a bunch of topics that unfortunately Mike Harrington, our producer, compiles for us. And generally what we do is we go through them, we say, no, fuck no, definitely not. Are you out of your fucking mind? And then we'll say, okay, this one isn't bad. We'll discuss this for a moment. So that's what we're going to do, because today there's got a few topics on there. So we're going to discuss these topics and we're going to get your opinions on them as we go. So you're not a guest, Adam. You're our friend. You're our brother. You're officially part of the show, buddy. You're on here. You're with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Lewis, say something while I look at my notes.
Go look at your notes, Bisping. So you got your 2-year-old, you got your wife now, but that's the thing, dude. Comedians, we're so addicted to performing, and we're so addicted to the accolades that we get from going up on stage.
Well, fucking perform right now. Here's your chance. You've got an audience.
You don't have the accolades, you piece of shit. You don't know how it works.
You've got a microphone in front of you. You've got Adam, you've got me, you've got Brian, you've got Harrington. And then you got all the people online that when this comes out, they are your audience. Bro, give us a set. Say something funny. This is the difference
between stand-up comedy and doing what we do is you need an audience to be reactive. That's like me saying, oh, Bisping, go fight. But I don't have a fucking person to fight with. Like, no, just fight, dude. All I got to do is fight. That's shadow boxing. That's not a fight. That's not a fight. So we don't get the reaction. We're addicted to the fucking accolades that we get, that feeling in the Bisping, and you know, because you've done live shows, the feeling when an audience laughs at your fucking jokes, it is whatever the endorphins are that are released, it is fucking really, really addictive.
Hey, why are you going to make Adam feel bad? He's still trying to experience that.
I'll get there one day.
No, just kidding, Adam. You're fucking hilarious. Everyone go check him out. So first topic that we're seeing on here, and we'll go to Adam Hunter first on this. As we know, pardon me, as we know, John Jones, Israel Adesanya going through the back and forth Twitter beef all the time. And this morning or last night, I saw John Jones tweeted. Did you see it, Adam?
Yes.
He tweeted a picture of Israel Adesanya unconscious with an oxygen mask on. And then what did he actually say? He said, what did he say, Brian Harrington? Anyone there?
He said, why are you taking up all the oxygen or something?
Oh, yeah, there it is. Hold on, where was it?
Yeah, somebody wake this bitch up or something along those lines.
Yeah, he said, hold on, I've got it here somewhere. There it is. He said, this bitch is wasting all that good oxygen. Someone wake this bitch up and change his tampon, right? Because he got knocked out. But then he deleted it. And then Adesanya came back and talked a bit of shit, said he's still working on catching up to him. But what do you think of all this? What do you think of Jones versus Adesanya? What do you think of all this, Adam?
Well, I give Israel a lot of credit for reposting a picture of himself getting knocked out. That takes a lot of, if I was a fighter and that's probably your lowest moment to show everyone, it shows that the guy's got a lot of, respect for himself, a lot of character to even do that,
Yeah, it's funny because Darren Till's been doing that recently. He's been putting pictures of him, video of Masvidal knocking him out, and Tyron Woodley yesterday getting smashed. And you're right, it does show humility. But, for Israel, it's out there. It's done. The world knows about it. Jones has tweeted it, so he's got no choice. You've just got to roll with the punches at that time. Being sensitive about it, it's just gonna get more people talking shit.
Well, I don't think Israel looked that good in his last fight, and then to go up a weight class to fight John Jones, I don't think it's a good fight for him. If they even make this fight.
Yeah. Well,
what are people mad about? So Jones deleted the picture. Are people upset because he was making light of sort of coronavirus victims, or were they upset about the tampon joke, or was it both? Because somebody had highlighted the tampon. I was like, who cares about the tampon joke? That means nothing.
Ooh, he's on his period. Who gives a shit? Grow up.
Was it being disparaging toward women?
No, I don't think it's that. I think he probably deleted it because yesterday, I think I noticed he was going on a bit of a tirade on Twitter, and we all do it now and again. I certainly have been doing it over lockdown. Certainly you throw some alcohol into the mix and Twitter's a dangerous thing. And then he's woke up the next day and he's like, oh, fuck. Yeah. I have done this so many times. You wake up the next day, you look at your phone like, oh, yeah, probably better fucking delete that one. Oh, shit, it's been retweeted 3,000 times. I'm fucked.
Well, that's the other thing as well. So you sometimes tweet something, and the angle, I guess, that people are taking on this is like John Jones deleted then or tweeted then deleted. But it's like sometimes you just wake up the next day, you're like, what am I doing? I'm an idiot. And then you delete it because you're like, all right, I have a better state of mind, and that's not a bad thing. It's actually probably a good thing.
Adam?
Yeah, right. No, I think you're 100% correct. I think that John Jones is definitely. I'm happy he's actually home tweeting and not from his car. As long as he's not doing it from his car, I'm actually happy when drunk. And then he said he was trying to help the homeless. That's why he was outside driving around with a gun and drinking. I don't understand John Jones. John Jones blocked me on Twitter. He's one of the only guys to block me.
Huh.
Why did he block you, Adam? Tell the truth.
Because Adam trolls every fucking MMA fighter on the planet.
I remember because I didn't know Adam. And I'm like, MMA, this fucking guy, this motherfucker keeps making jokes with me. Fucking prick.
That's the positive for steroids. And I said he had no idea there was steroids in his cocaine. And then he blocked me for that. You got mad, Bisping, because somebody said that punching power is God-given. And I said, that's why Bisping's an atheist. and then you got, but I'm just trying to.
And you messaged my wife, I think, to hey, let him know I'm a big fan of his. I'm like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, right. That's what happened. Well, because the thing is, like, you were at that time, you were kind of painting yourself as like the villain of MMA, and I could tell that it was tongue in cheek. I could tell that you had a good sense of humor about it. That's how I eventually became friends. But Jones, I just think might be. I think what makes John Jones great is the fact that he thinks he could do whatever he wants, like whenever he wants. He has that thing in the cage of like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to beat Chael in wrestling. I'm going to knock this guy out. I'm going to take down Daniel Cormier. But then he does it like in regular life too. Like, I'm going to do cocaine and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I think that's what gets him in trouble is that line isn't there.
Well, if you want to do cocaine.
Well, no, it's there. He just snorted it.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get out of your mind, fine. Do it at home. Do it in a bar. Do whatever you want to do. Just don't get behind the wheel of a car. You know what I mean? I have no sympathy for that. If you can do whatever you want in private, at home, in your own house, and God knows the guy's rich enough to have a beautiful home, certainly in fucking Albuquerque. I was there recently for the first time. I could sell this computer and buy a fucking gigantic mansion in Albuquerque, I think, right? So I'm sure he's got a sick house. He's probably got fucking tigers. I know he's got that little,
every countertop in his house is a mirror. Like it's just mirrors everywhere. Just tons of drugs.
Just do it there. Do it there, and on your grounds, ride a fucking quad bike, float around on that. High on cocaine, shooting guns all day long. Just don't drive around, homeless or not. Let's respect people's lives.
Can I say though, it doesn't sort of feel like with this whole like lockdown thing that it is this weird prolonged like winter vacation. You remember the period of time when you got off of school between Christmas and New Year's? And
I tweeted this. Don't steal my line.
This is my thing, guys. Hold on. I made this up. I don't know where Bisping was.
I tweeted 2 days ago. I tweeted, so what time's everybody getting out of bed right now? Because for me, it feels like Christmas week, right? And
really? I swear to God, I didn't see you say this, but it's very true. It is. Yeah. It has that. So that's why I'm saying with John Jones, it's like, I don't know, man. He's having a little vacation. Fun. He's shooting a gun into the air, drinking a little bit, driving
Adam
a little bit.
First. We're going off topic a little bit here, but I'm going to ask Adam this.
By the way, the fact that he went to school is the most shocking thing of the whole thing.
But here's the thing. So Christmas week in England, everything shuts down. Everything shuts down, right? And it's great. Not in America. You guys have Christmas Day, but you go to church and shit like that. And then the next day is just life as normal. In England, everything grinds to a halt for a week. Like there's like little stores and essential things are still open, kind of like lockdown right now, but day-to-day life stops. And this is kind of how we live for a week. In America, you have Christmas Day. I have a real issue with this. You don't even have a Boxing Day, and you guys are up. You're doing fun runs, charity walks, feeding the homeless. You got the Rose Bowl parade. I'm like, these fucking guys need to be lazier.
Maybe. I mean, America, though, it seems like when I was younger, Lewis, school was longer. Now the school days are getting shorter. There's more vacations. Kids are getting lazier. I mean, just from being a middle school wrestling coach, having kids play a sport. When I was kids, we loved to play sports. Just getting a kid to actually go out for a sport is like one of the hardest things to do right now. I mean, the fact that your kid did so well, Mike, and even wrestling in college, it says a lot to like your parenting because there's a lot of distractions out there.
Oh God, yeah, there is a lot of distractions. But yeah, there you go, John Jones. We don't want to shit all over John Jones the entire episode, so we've done that for a minute, and we seem to do it regularly. I like John. I love him inside the octagon. I can't wait to see him fight again. Just get your shit together, buddy. That's all you got to do. Lewis, where are we going? What are we going to discuss next?
Well, I think this was kind of interesting. I want to get Adam's take on it. So Kolby Covington, who's everyone's either favorite or least favorite fighter, most people's least favorite fighter, but he gets people going, gets people emotional, gets people talking, knows how to talks a good game. I guess he said that he wants to make a run to go to the WWE. And Bisping's just gone. He just left. This is how little he respects Kolby Covington. He's like, you know what? I won't even talk about him.
I feel like I've walked the Zoom.
He said he wants to make a run to the WWE in 2021. So what do you think?
I think a lot of guys think it's a good idea to go WWE until they actually do it. Because it seems like an MMA, you could train at your own time and do your own thing. But at WWE, it's like, 300 days out of the year? It's some insane schedule. And I think it seems like a lot of wrestlers have made the transition to MMA, or at least, have any? Well, except for CM Punk and maybe whatever, but that didn't go too well. I don't know. It seems like it's not as easy as one would think it would be. I know that the one Matt Riddle tried to do it, and he had some success.
Well, I think Matt Riddle was in MMA first before he was in wrestling. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's doing pretty good now, I believe. I think he's a guy who actually is pretty respected on like the independent circuit. And obviously there's Brock Lesnar, who's the biggest of everybody. But the guys that go from MMA to WWE, I mean, look, famously, Ken Shamrock was the one who's like the biggest guy that did it back in the day. Ronda obviously did it. There are guys that have done it. I just don't. I mean, Kolby's kind of small. He's a 170 pounder. I couldn't imagine him being big enough to sort of get in there and do what those guys
like it's
did.
A lot different now. It's not. When I was younger, it was like the huge guys, and now the smaller guys, can make a run at it. But I just think it's a lot different. I think it's a lot different on your body, and I don't think it's as fun as guys think it is for MMA guys.
Yeah, when I was a kid, Adam, I always thought it was like these gigantic Hulk Hogan type characters. But as you see now, there's more and more people. Like when I first saw CM Punk, I couldn't believe it. I thought some big wrestler was coming over to the UFC. And then I saw him, and he's a very average sized guy. Some would say on the smaller, slighter, more pathetically shit side of MMA, right? I'm joking.
He fought at 170, right?
Yeah, he fought at 170. Yes, so somebody like Kolby definitely could do. I mean, I guess he's got the mouthpiece. He's got the charisma. Because we're talking about him right now, and he certainly has the MMA world talking about him. He has the physical attributes. But as you said, Adam,
I'm sorry, Mike, but do you think that he has the same charisma as a lot of these WWE guys? Because he's sort of cringy. He doesn't really nail it. He just takes the shot. And
have you seen every single fucking promo that's done by a professional wrestler? I'm sorry. It's cringy as hell. It's the cringiest shit we've ever seen in our lifetime. Kolby Covington, go to the WWE right now.
He could. I think it's not as fun as you think it is. I think in the beginning it's great. And then when you're in some like Toledo, Ohio, the next night you got to go to this place, then you got to go to Dayton, and you go to all these off TV ones.
It's not the same thing where I think MMA, so all right, so you're on the road 300 days a year in the WWE and performing every night essentially and putting your body through the ringer, or you're training MMA and you're in 2 or 3 training camps per year. It's a different type of punishment you're putting on your body. But with the WWE, those guys, all of them end up on painkillers. I shouldn't say all of them, but you hear about it over and over again. Addicted to painkillers, like major issues with their backs, necks, reconstructive surgeries. And we hear the same thing with MMA guys. But I got to be honest with you, I don't know how much health benefits that pro wrestling has. Whereas in MMA, I mean, you guys are the most athletic people in the world.
Yeah, but what you got to realize is, and you're absolutely right, 300 days a year performing that type of stuff, leaping through the air, hitting the canvas.
Yeah, just slamming your back onto the canvas over and over again. It's crazy.
With such impact over and over again. Of course, you're going to have injuries, and that will take its toll on your body. But as we spoke about in the last show, we broke it down in depth. When you fight in MMA, that's the easy part. It's the training camp. It's the 2 months of sheer fucking hell. I used to spar Monday, Wednesday, Friday with multiple guys per sparring session, right? 2 guys switching every 2.5 minutes so they're not getting tired and you're getting pushed. That is essentially a fight. Yes, it's not as intense. You have bigger gloves on, but you're still taking blows to the head. You're still getting kicks to the body, kicks to the legs, still having people fucking choke you out and all that type of stuff. So whilst it's a downgraded fight, it's maybe at 75% intensity, it's still taking a toll on your body. Now, I'm not, the discussion isn't who's better or who's tougher or who schedules harder, MMA or professional wrestling, because they're both very, very tough on your body. And we know time and time again, as you said, a lot of them end up on opioids with drug addictions. They have issues due to steroids as well, which unfortunately, my wife's trying to sneak in here without being seen. You're very distracting, Rebecca. Very distracting. I was on a rant there. I was killing it. That was the best thing you've ever heard about, Adam.
Honestly, it was probably the most I've ever seen you like together making a point, and then all of a sudden, here you go.
But I have a fresh cup of tea. I have a fresh cup of tea with the tea bag still in.
Ooh, she's lucky she brought that dope ass tea.
You like a cup of tea, Adam?
I do like a cup of tea. Why not? Why not? I gotta ask Lewis though about like how do you deal with all the like because
Bisping, it's tough. Yes, no. I mean,
but you like
he's got a cocky attitude. He's very tough. You can't beat him up. It's a tough tight walk to try to.
Every time I've dealt with you in person, you've been like the nicest, like most giving guy. But then online sometimes you get into wars with people.
Who, Lewis?
Yeah, and you somehow you get into like it's like thousands of people hate you, but then there's like 10,000 that love you. Like, does any of it affect you ever?
Don't exaggerate those numbers. There's like 7 people involved in the entire argument. Okay, but carry on, Lewis.
Thousands. You heard him. I mean, I don't take it as personally. I get it's really all of boredom. Bisping said it best earlier on tonight's episode. So this is what happens when I'm traveling. If you see me really going back and forth with somebody on Twitter, it's usually when I'm on a flight and I'm sitting there. I'm going to LA. I got 6 hours and nothing better to do. I got
40 milligram edible.
Yeah, dude, I'm fucking high as shit. I'm ready to go, and it is based off of boredom. It doesn't, for the most part, it's not like real life. These are just silly words. When you look at what people do when they troll you on the internet, they write something, you have to just step back for a second and realize they truly are just dumb fingers tapping onto a keyboard. What is the real emotion there? It's not like the guy punched you in the face, so I have to remind myself of that constantly. Bisping calls me up all the time. He's like, dude, you got to fucking stop. You're out of your mind. Just chill. You're
multiple times because you're really getting violent and you're making threats and all this type of.
I've never made violent.
I'm
threats.
like, Lewis, calm the fuck down. What are you doing? But you're right, because it's a weird thing, right? Because it pulls at human emotions. Because I'm not bigging myself up, but generally you go on Twitter. Let's say you put a tweet out there and it's well liked, whatever, and you go through. You got all the likes, you got some retweets, you got some nice positive comments. You like those comments, but then there's one asshole, or maybe a few. In my case, maybe a few hundred. They're like, fuck you, Bisping, you're wrong. 1776, baby. I said something the other day, that was it, on Easter. I said, hey, I just want to throw this out there. And don't get offended because it's just chocolate, okay? But chocolate in America or Easter eggs in America fucking suck. Okay. And anybody that's lived in England or Australia will know what I'm talking about. And the comments came in. Well, if you don't fucking like it, get out of this fucking
Love
country.
It or leave it.
1776, baby. I'm like, and then I came back. I said, look, listen, 1776, just want to tell you, we're not touchy on this subject. Nobody I know in England gives a fuck about 1776. We have a lot of history. And anyway,
I wouldn't either. If I got my ass kicked, that's like a fighter. He's not bringing up the time he lost. He's bringing up his fucking victories.
You know how many wars we've had? You know how many wars England have been in? The amount of countries that we took over and gave back throughout the fucking years. It's countless. You have one war that you won. Yeah, but that's it. And you won't shut the fuck up about it. My God.
You guys are like Hoist Gracie. You're like, yeah, you got these old school victories, but when it counted, you fucking got your ass kicked.
No documentation of the victories at all.
But Bisping, I heard back in the day, people would be like, "You're my favorite fighter. Click this link," and then it would just be the Dan Henderson fight, and then you get out of bed and go running 6 miles. You'd be like, "That motherfucker." Is there any truth to that?
I'd see shit like that, and I speak about it in my documentary. Anytime the people give you negativity, yeah, it does fuel you a little bit when people write you off. When I was competing in my career, and people would write me off and say, "You're shit. You're not good enough. You don't have the power. You're just not skilled enough." Yeah, of course that fuels you because you want to prove them wrong. But the point I was going to make, going back to the Twitter thing before we got a bit silly, was that yeah, you are drawn to the negative stuff. Right. Whereas you should respond to the positive comments. When somebody's saying nice, you should take the time out to say, "Oh, really appreciate that, buddy. I hope you're having a great day," or whatever. But I'll give them a like. And then sometimes I do respond with nice stuff as well. But it's those negative ones. They're the ones that really, they get your hackles up and they force you to say, and maybe it's because I'm a fighter, maybe you're different, Adam. But for me, they're the ones that really get my attention. And I say, "Fuck you, motherfucker. Kiss my ass," or whatever it is.
And let me piggyback on what Bisping's saying, and sort of to answer your question as well, Adam. I also sort of don't shy away from the trolling the same way a lot of other people do, because I realized very early on that you sort of become desensitized to it. The more you see it, like the first time somebody said something about my kid, I saw red. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I remember thinking, like, if I fucking saw this guy right now, I'd kill him. You know, and like the amount of time, and this is 7 years ago, you know, when I had a kid. Now we have so many more fans for these podcasts. I mean, people make jokes like that all the time. They make comments all the fucking time. And if I were to get myself worked up every time, I'd be at a very negative place, but I don't shy away from it. I sort of laugh at it at this point. And Bisping, I want to get your opinion on this, because you've been fighting for so long. You went through the old school UFC before Twitter and Instagram and social media were really major tools to promote yourself. They were around, but honestly, Instagram, I don't think was around when you first started fighting the UFC. No. Twitter might have just started.
No, Twitter wasn't. I remember I was in training camp for Dan Henderson. I was at the MGM Suites in Las Vegas. I was training to fight Dan Henderson, and that's when I signed up to Twitter. And Dana White signed up a few months earlier. It was Dana that got me into it. So certainly earlier in my UFC, I don't know when Twitter was founded, but Instagram definitely wasn't a thing. And you're talking about kids there. Lewis, I'm not trying to outdo you, and I'm not trying to outdo you either, Adam. This isn't a competition. You guys...
It starts to feel that way sometimes.
You're sitting there saying, "Oh, if anybody talks about my kid, I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids, baby. Your problems times 3. If you two got together, I'd still have 1 extra. You know what I'm saying?"
To make my point, then you've been desensitized, though.
One of them's a 17-year-old girl that I get a lot of lewd comments about, and I still keep my shit together.
I don't even know, Bisping. I don't even know how you pause. I see it sometimes. People make comments about your daughter, and I'm like, "Are you out of your fucking mind?" It is psychotic.
I just ignore them. Come on, listen, there's a lot of fucking twisted assholes out there. You can't go to battle with those types. I'm talking about if somebody says something about me, then yeah, if they're going to say something that's inappropriate about my daughter, I'm not going to give that the time of day. I literally delete the comment and I block it straight away. Simple.
Did you get desensitized though? So do you remember? Because I'm assuming back in the day, somebody would make some comment, you'd fucking get really annoyed. Even with Adam, you sort of mentioned it. I'm assuming today, where you're way more exposed. You do a podcast now. You're a ball buster. People know your personality way more. You can't see it, but I'm pointing at our guest, Adam Hunter. Direct the guest to Adam. Direct the question to our guest, Adam. You see that person in the third screen? That's our guest.
I like hearing this stuff. This is great.
Adam, you know, you've been fighting in the UFC for 10 years.
Yeah. There was a guy named Adam Hunter who kept getting popped for like steroids. I guess he's a good fighter. He made it to the UFC, and the people were like coming at me. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing, judo?" I'm like, "I'm not the guy. I have not taken any."
There was an Adam Hunter in the UFC.
Yeah.
Who is the fighter that got the most pissed off at you?
You actually gave me a shout out during the thing about it. You're like, he's a victim over Adam Hunter. And you're like, "Oh, not the comedian." And you gave me like a. He's a wrestling coach. Yeah.
No. I was talking about you. I wasn't talking about Adam Hunter, who was in the UFC. I was talking about you.
Yeah, I know you're talking about me, but the reason I came up was because they mentioned the fighter Adam Hunter, and then you said not the comedian Adam Hunter, and then that's
got it. Oh,
Adam,
really?
Who is the fighter that's gotten the most pissed off at you because of MMA Roasted? And if you guys don't know, go follow MMA Roasted. It's a really legitimately funny MMA Twitter. Now, obviously, the podcast as well, which is great. But
it's not too much. It's not too much, Adam. Like you take the piss and you talk a little shit, but it's like it's at an acceptable level. Like there's nothing. Yeah, it's clever. It's nice. It's wholesome jokes. You know what I mean? It's nothing. You don't overstep the mark. You can't really be too pissed. It's lighthearted comedy, but that is an interesting question. Who would you say?
Well, it's funny. I mean, the whole history was I got hired by the UFC. The UFC hired me. Dana White called me up and they're like, hey, we want to do like an MMA roasted thing where we want you to make videos roasting fighters and roasting about like upcoming events. So that was the job. And I had all these I would write 100 jokes. They'd pick 7. And you know, Lewis, when you hate getting rid of jokes. It's like when you write all these jokes, you can't use them. You're just like, so I'm like, I need a place to put these jokes out. So I just started the MMA Roasted Twitter for all the jokes that were not approved. And Dana White, who was in charge, was like, hey, man, just don't worry about offending anybody. Anything goes. Just do whatever you want. But then they kind of said.
By the way, like he's going to get your back when they're beating the shit out of you backstage at some UFC event.
But Dana said I can write whatever I want.
Thinking back, that was sort of a weird strategy. So then what happened was I started doing it and I didn't. So I just started posting all this stuff. And then when guys would get knocked out is when I would make a joke. At the very beginning, I was like, anything goes. Dana said it, blah, blah, blah. And then guys were getting pissed. Like Forrest Griffin, who was like a good friend of mine now, when he ran out of the ring. And I was like, you know, Forrest is still a week later, like Forrest is still running or something. And he was like, fuck this guy.
That's hilarious. And Forrest is a very funny, like ball busty guy as well.
And even Matt Serra, something happened with Matt Serra when he blocked me. It was like the guys that I'm friends with now, I like kind of, you could turn them around a little bit. Bisping, but no one, I mean, I think Danny Castillo said he was going to knock me out if he saw me. Because then I realized, okay, don't make fun of people after they lose.
Danny Castillo can't knock anybody out.
Yeah, and then don't make fun of people after they got knocked out. I realized that quickly. And
go ahead. Sorry, Adam. Sorry, go ahead.
So then that job was like, once I started doing that, then I got hired by Fox Sports, and then Dana White was like, then the UFC, I was working for the MMA Awards. And one of the things, like, that was hard too, because I would come up with these sketches. Like I came up with a Daniel Cormier all about the cake video, or one with Bisping I did that never got released that I was so upset about because I called Bisping and I was like, hey man, I convinced you to do the sketch. I pitched it to him. We did it. And then it was too controversial.
Did we do it? Did I film a sketch?
Yeah, the sketch you did was all these guys got tested positive for too much TRT. So he did like a commercial where it was like In the Arms of an Angel, where they sang that Sarah McLachlan song. And then Bisping was reading a book and he's like, for 70 cents a day, you could feed a fighter who can't win anymore because he's on TRT. And everyone got
I remember now.
Yeah. So we did that one. And then I worked at Fox Sports. Now I work for the PFL. And, so yeah, that kind of, but to answer your question, who got the most mad? Probably Bisping or John Jones, or the Fallon Fox situation got kind of rough for me. What
happened with the Fallon Fox? For those people that don't know, Fallon Fox is a male transgender that's now crossed over, became a lady that wrestles women, but was born biologically a man or a boy, correct?
And also did end up losing to, who was the UFC fighter, right?
Nick Newell, I think.
Ashley Evans Smith.
Oh, all right, whatever. Not even close. Wrong gender. 2 arms.
Jesus.
Hey. I was this close.
Well, what happened was, I was working, anything goes, and here was a transgender that was beating up women that wasn't disclosing that it used to be a man. So I was making jokes about it, but the jokes I was making were like, yeah, there's a move called the calf slicer, hers is the cock slicer, or just I
remember that one. And
then somebody wrote a letter, an article about saying I was a transphobic, and I started getting attacked by the PC police saying that this guy's horrible, and all these MMA writers were saying I was dangerous I was hurting women. And I'm like, well, what about the guy who's became a woman who's now hurting women?
Who's legitimately hurting women, physically hurting women, destroying their careers, ruining their records,
putting them in hospital.
Damage. Yeah.
Not the guy writing dick jokes about it, so that sort of became, I also learned a lesson that day was that a lot of times, everything you do, if you fuck up one time and not even meaning to fuck up, that could be they're like, all he does is write jokes about transgenders. I'm like, it was 3 jokes out of 3 million.
Yeah.
So
was it her specifically that was pissed off, or it was just sort of the MMA community? Or not? By the way, nobody was pissed off. You want to know the reality? People aren't actually pissed. Nobody really cares. They just want something to be emotionally invested in that day on Twitter and on social media.
it's not just that. They also want to be seen. And I'm not saying that people don't
Virtue
care.
signal.
Yeah, but they do. Yeah, they want to be seen on Twitter saying, hold on a minute, this is bullshit. This is absolutely ridiculous. You can't say this. You can't do that. Look at me on the pedestal that I'm putting myself and how pure I am and how pure I want the world to perceive me. I think there's a lot of that goes on as well, Adam.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish I was a stronger person, because when that stuff came out, like, I was getting attacked, and I had a job at Fox Sports, and I almost lost my job. And I couldn't sleep for a couple of weeks. Like, people were telling me, like, you're an awful person. This is what you do. You hurt people. And I'm like, people start saying that. You're like, man, you start doubting whether or not this is exactly what I want to do. What am I? Did I make the wrong decision? So as I've matured and, grown as a person, as a thing, I kind of pick and choose, like, kind of like with the Ari. Well, I learned that, like, Twitter and Instagram is not a comedy club. And anything goes. At a comedy club, you can say whatever you want. And
well, you also have the context of you're making fun of yourself a lot. So you sort of open that up. So if you start making fun of yourself and you're self-deprecating, and then you sort of make fun of whatever else, you can go, well, no, look, no one's safe, including myself. Whereas when you're doing it on Twitter with a tweet, it reads as itself. It's not even you. It's like it's not even personified. It's this other thing. They can't get any context of who you are as a father or a person. It's just, this guy's hateful. So there's none of that context.
And that's the thing. It's like, I realized that, like, Twitter would be great if everyone kind of could figure that out, but they're looking to get you fired, a lot of people, and also looking for you to be like, that guy fucked up. And I save a lot of my jokes for comedy clubs versus Twitter, because I don't want to be, all these virtual things. But like, for example, Ari Shaffir, right? The whole Ari Shaffir incident. If he would have done that Kolby rant at a comedy club, it probably would have got people pissed off, blah, blah, blah. But he wouldn't have lost all his special and everything else, But when you put something on Instagram or Twitter and you do those kind of things, then it's like you open yourself up for all of that.
There's one person that benefited from this coronavirus, it is Rory Macdonald, because nobody is talking about that Kolby thing.
That's actually a really, really good point. But to your point, Adam, I mean, that is the difference, right? Because if you go to a comedy club, and, I'm here sitting between two comedians, so I'm taking the back seat here. But if you go to a comedy club, you're looking for comedy, you're looking for jokes. And if you've been there regularly, you'll know that sometimes there's comics that are very, very controversial. You're going to hear some bad language. You might hear some topics that you're not comfortable with, but it's a comedy club. And if you don't like that, don't go there. Don't pay there. Don't pay to go there. But on Twitter, that's out there for the entire world. And people might just be sitting there having a bad day. They want to be offended. They're looking for something to complain about. Jesus Christ, Adam.
Go on.
Once again, Bisping, that was taking over as your best rant ever. That moment, you were having this moment where it was like, I was like, wow, dude, I've never seen you so on. And then, boom,
so eloquent.
distractions.
So eloquent. So I put
It's my sister. Sorry, keep going.
Tell your sister. Put her on the phone. Get her on the phone. Get your sister on the phone right now. Put her on loudspeaker.
My phone's hung up. It's gone.
Airplane mode immediately, please.
No, it goes to my computer. I'm sorry. Go on.
Adam, we don't care. We don't care.
I know, but I care. Sorry, please go on. Disney.
No, I've lost it. I cannot possibly regain that train of thought that I had. That's at the station. I've got off. I've left my ticket. I can't get back on the train. Okay, I'm starving. My lunch is on the train. I haven't eaten all day. Okay, thanks, Adam. Thanks. Let your sister know. Okay, that was the award-winning segment. My car keys, my phone. That's all on the train, and I can't get back on.
My sister works at Rikers Island as a social worker, and she still has to go to work. How fucking during this coronavirus? How much is that?
Where's Rikers Island? Is that like is the joke that it's a very like unpopulated place? Oh, it's a jail.
Yeah, full of people that have coronavirus. She still has to go to work. Isn't that fucked up? Yeah. Sorry,
that's pretty crazy.
I thought maybe that would make you guys feel better about me being rude and having it on.
Yeah, I keep on forgetting that Adam Hunter's an East Coast guy. And then you moved out west.
Yeah.
How long you lived in LA, Adam?
18 years. I love it. I love it. LA. I do miss New York though. I miss the Luis Gomez's of the world.
Don't say that.
I do. I miss the angry comics.
That's right. Afro Puerto Ricans.
The angry comics that don't give a fuck. That like.
It's a different attitude in New York and LA. Like the comics in New York are just fucking. There's like it's not even just comics. It's just
no. I'm gonna say people West Coast to East Coast. There's a major difference. I feel more at home when I'm on the East Coast. I can be more myself. I can talk shit. I can say whatever I want. I can open up on my thoughts. And people are like, yeah, totally get you. Out here, they look at me like, You might want to keep that thought to yourself, Michael.
They're not interacting as much. In New York, you are trained to interact regularly and with different classes of people. So you're just walking down the street and you have a billionaire to your right, you have a homeless person to your left, you have some fucking acid punk kid in front of you, some other guy who works on Wall Street behind you, and everyone sort of has to constantly interact. No. I'm wrong.
No,
I'm wrong.
I disagree. No. I
hate you so much. No matter what I say, he disagrees. I want everyone to point this out.
You're trying to say that because you live in New York as opposed to Los Angeles, which is also one of the biggest cities in the world.
It's not an attack on you. It's not an attack on you.
Shh. Zoom meetings. Let's not overspeak one another. Okay. You're saying that I meet all these different eclectic, weird people that I'm just not socially ready for because I come from LA. I don't even live in LA. My children go to school every day. Like your son should be at school. When they're at school, they're not seeing acid freaks. They're not seeing punks. They're doing the same shit day in, day out. Okay. They go to school. They mix with people. They socialize. I'm sorry. It's not everybody lives in Manhattan, Lewis.
What is the point that you're disagreeing with? I don't even know if you know the point that you're disagreeing with right now.
You said that because
Tell me the point that you're disagreeing with, you psychopath. You said, fucking narcissistic psychopath. He heard an attack on him and his family somehow. I want everyone to realize what happened.
All right, stop repeating the question. Stop asking me. Stop repeating me to make my point. I'm trying to make my point. I got the question the first time. You said people on the East Coast are more socially developed because they deal with all different types of walks of life, different classes of life, punk rockers, businessmen, rich people, poor people. But on the West Coast, that's incorrect. Now, I'm not some avid supporter of the West Coast. I'm British, okay? So I don't really give a fuck. I'm just saying, in essence, your point there, I believe, to my knowledge, to be monumentally flawed, incorrect. So, sorry, for the sake of the podcast, I'm calling out and saying, incorrect.
If you looked at the number of people that people in New York City interact,
Adam, go ahead.
Let me make this point. If you look at the number of people,
Adam's got something good to say.
If you look at the number of people that people in New York City interact with, it's probably 100 times the amount of people that you're dealing with. The people on average interact with in LA. I'm talking about just every single day. You walk to the subway, you're dealing with 1,000 people. It's the reason why New York City is overrun with coronavirus is because we have so many people on top of each other. How do you disagree with this?
Oh, no, I just said not everybody lives in Manhattan, though. We're talking East Coast. That's the East Coast of America. It's the fucking East Coast.
He lives in Orange County, right? Which is like very rich, posh, affluent. So his kids are going to schools with like a lot of kids that are also like that. So that being said, Manhattan is, there'll be like billionaires next to punk rockers, whatever. But then you go to Long Island and there's a lot of places in Long Island that are similar to Orange County. So it really depends, or New Jersey. So it really depends. But I think what I miss about Lewis is that his attitude, like with that Nicole Arbor thing, like that whole interview where you were kind of hitting on her and she didn't realize it. Like that's so much of like New Yorkers, like catcalling works a lot of times. And I think people don't realize it. I've seen it work so many times.
I talk about this in my special. I have a joke where I talk about it specifically, especially with Hispanic people and Black people. You know, and in the joke I say, I was like, it's not called catcalling, it's called hollering, which is true. We holler, like you holler at a chick, and it's like it's a cultural thing. You know, Afro Puerto Ricans, we do that a lot. Bisping.
Yeah. Well, British people, believe it or not, have been known to catcall, and whoever the fuck calls it catcalling is out of their minds. But like, for example, the building sites, right? Say there's a building getting worked on, and girls are walking by, and they've got a short little skirt on. It's as old as time. The builders will. They'll give a little whistle. They'll say something. I swear to God, I have never seen a builder whistle or go, oh shit, you got some fries with that shake, baby, or whatever it is, and get a fucking phone number, right? That does not work.
It does work. I see it outside clubs. A girl will walk by and I'm like, hey, shorty, what's up? Like, damn, look at you. And then she'll be like, oh, you stop it or something. And then next thing you know, he gets her number.
But that's outside a nightclub. The woman is intoxicated. She's maybe looking to make some mistakes that night. At 1 o'clock, when she's on her lunch hour, she's walking to the bank to take out some money to pay the cleaners that don't come, right? And some guy in his work clothes, covered in sweat and dust and shit, she might like that type of thing, but who knows? And says some kind of lewd remark. I don't think that works. Outside a club, yes.
Well, I'll tell you, you know what it is? It truly is a game of numbers, right? So there's a ratio. There's a ratio for the amount of times that it works. Maybe it's 1 out of 200 times, but that construction worker has nothing but time, and he just plays those numbers because he doesn't give a fuck. And just like we were talking about before about being desensitized, he's become desensitized to her being like, fuck you, buddy. He laughs with his friends. She moves on, and he does it again and again and again. And then once every 2 months, some chick's like, yeah, I like construction workers, so I'll go out with this guy.
Well, you made the point there exactly because you mentioned his friends, right? And I would say in that environment, because I've been in that environment, that's what I did. I worked fucking manual labor my entire life prior to being a fighter. It's more about them having a laugh with their buddies. And they're not necessarily trying to insult the girl, but they're just trying to alleviate their boredom at work. They see a girl, they admire that girl. They do. They look and think, wow, she's really attractive. She's got a great ass. She's beautiful, whatever it is, whatever description you want to use. So they say it, but they're also trying to, they're just trying to get through the day and have a laugh with their buddies, Adam.
I know, I hear you. I mean, I think that's what I do kind of miss, though, is that sort of bravado and like not giving a fuck. But I love LA, though. But the thing I couldn't stand about New York, Lewis, was you can't get away from people. I mean, you're in the subway, you're at a comedy show, you're in Times Square, you're here. You're always around people. Where in California, I can get in my car and just get the fuck out. Have a thought.
I'm so jealous of all of you. If I could be in California right now, oh my God. I talked to my son's mother about it. I was like, we should consider it. She's not super keen on the idea right now. I got to work on her.
But the weather sucks right now. It will get better. I think this week's going to be better, right, Adam? But last couple of weeks, man, it has been fucking miserable. But anyway, there you go. We got 2 New Yorkers on. They're both comics. So should I just log out while you two just suck each other's dicks all day?
Very insecure. He's the most successful person on here. There's no reason for the insecurity. He's got a half mansion.
There's no insecurity.
Beautiful hair.
Thank you. There's no insecurity, but I've got a long list of MMA topics that we need to get to. Oh, you're from New York? I'm from New York as well. Oh, I'm a comic? Fuck, no shit. I'm a comic as well.
That's all right. Maybe you should DJ.
Definitely not. All right. Hey, what do we think about this? Point number 6, right? Chris Weidman. I want to give out some props to Chris Weidman because me and Chris, we used to go back and forth in the day. We used to take shots at each other. Certainly when he was champion, all fighters want to fight for the belt, yada, yada, yada. He's lost a lot of fights recently, but due to this coronavirus, I'm looking at point number 6, Lewis, in case you're wondering. Chris Weidman claims he accepted 3 fights in the stretch of a week. Those include Jack Hermanson, Edmund Shabazian, and a rematch with Yoel Romero. If that is true, then Chris Weidman, fair play to this guy. I mean, that's a real fighter. I mean, yeah, Chris is a good fighter. He's struggled a little bit lately. But to take on 3 different opponents, for the UFC to say, hey, what about this guy? Edmund Shabazian, 11-0, a young up-and-comer. Yoel Romero already knocked him out. And Jack Hermanson, who's on a fucking roll right now as well. I just want to take time out to say, fair play, Chris Weidman.
Fair play, or is like, what is he thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, he's 1-4 in his last 5. And I'm the biggest Weidman fan. I thought Chris could be champion the first time I saw him fight. First time, I knew him from Hofstra University as a wrestler. But, I mean, I would almost think Edmund's the easiest fight out of the 3 just on the experience factor because we've seen undefeated guys go in there against like a Chrome Gracie versus Cub Swanson, where a guy that's just been there can some sort of outmaneuver the rookie. And Edmund's never had that type of fight against Chris. But I would not go up against Yoel Romero because Chris has been knocked out like 4 times in a row, and that guy can sneeze and fucking, could knock people out. And Hermanson maybe because Chris has the wrestling advantage, so maybe that would be another fight that maybe Hermanson beat Jacare.
Yeah. So, the one you said about Edmund Shabazian there, I feel that the wrestling advantage that Chris has would see him, I think, get a pretty solid, decisive victory there, whether it be a decision or a stoppage. But Shabazian, pardon me, good jiu-jitsu, very, very good striking. Okay, but he's not much of a wrestler. If I'm mistaken, I apologize. Yoel Romero, if you think back to that fight, though, Chris was winning that fight up to the knockout. Now, of course, that doesn't matter. That's like saying I was winning against Dan Henderson, which I wasn't until I got knocked the fuck out and woke up 3 months later. It doesn't matter. But Chris was doing very well in that fight. And Yoel Romero, not getting any younger. But still, regardless, the point I was making is that to take those 3 fights and Hermanson again, solid fighter, beat Jacare. I think he lost his last one though against Jared Cannonier. But still, just a round of applause there for Chris Weidman. Lewis, wowers with your input.
Yeah, well, I gotta be honest with you. I mean, what does Chris Weidman has to? He has to do that. He has to sort of take on whoever they put in front of him, and he's got to talk about it as well. When he's actually 1-5 in his last 6. He's in a fucked up situation because he was once the champion. He was once considered the best in the world, and at this point, 2 in a row, he needs a win, and he also needs to do something somewhat dramatic. So it's sort of taking on all comers is what he should be doing. He can't really afford to pick and choose right now. And honestly, not for nothing, Yoel Romero, I think out of everybody, that's a great fight for him. Number one, he was winning that fight. Yoel Romero, he does have knockout power, but I got to be honest with you, that fight he could avenge himself and put himself back into everyone's conversation. With the other fights, I feel like there's not enough upside because, to be honest with you, he could lose those fights as well, and then he's in a really fucked up situation.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I think Chris, I don't know how old he is. I know you just looked him up, so if you want to share his age while you were looking up his record. Paul, so here's what he does. Normally he has Harrington Adam in the background that slides in pieces of paper on with info and knowledge. Now he's on. Tell me what MMA site you're on. Go on.
Sure,
MMA.
I'm looking at his record, as everyone should. As any MMA podcaster should be looking at people's records.
Chris Weidman was in my crosshairs for many a year. I don't need to look at Sherdog written by some wannabe MMA journalist to put together a coherent sentence on the former champion and wannabe new challenger. Okay, I have my
35.
own thoughts.
35.
All right, so 35. So he's younger than what I thought, actually. But still, if he's going to fight for the belt, which of course all fighters want to do that, right? I don't think anyone's comfortable accepting the role of a journeyman. Chris is a champion. He wants to be the champion again. He realizes and remembers the doors that were opened and the life of luxury that his family were living and the paychecks that were coming in when he was the champ. Of course, he wants that back again. And if he was to beat someone like Yoel that just fought for the belt, then boom, all of a sudden he's back in title contention. Because remember, when he fought Jacare, that was a back and forth fight. That was an absolute fucking war. And yeah, okay, he got knocked out again in the 3rd round right at the end of the fight. But up until that point, it was very, very competitive. So he's still got the ability.
Yeah, first time I met Chris, actually, I knew from Instagram and whatever pictures of him and his wife. So I'm talking to Chris at a fight. I'm like, hey, Chris, how's it going? Adam, blah, blah. Then his wife comes over. I'm like, oh, I'm a big fan. I don't know why I said that. But he was like, you're a big fan of my wife? And I was like, all right, man, I got to go. It was the most awkward, see you later.
We've all been there. I've done it many, many times. The amount of times that I got invited to Ari Emanuel, who owns Endeavor in the UFC and a bunch of other things. He had a Christmas party, and we went to his house for the Christmas party, and there was every famous celebrity, you name it. They were all there, and I was just sitting there. I was like, oh shit, there's that guy over there. That guy's over there. But I'm not going to go be a dick and, introduce them myself or bother them. But I get a tap on the shoulder and they say, oh, Mr. Vaughn would like to meet you, meaning Vince Vaughn, right? So I went up and I was like, have you ever met Vince Vaughn? Motherfucker is tall as hell. Yeah. I had no idea. And like a total dick, I go, oh, hey, what's up? I had no idea you were so tall. And he was like, okay, because he must get it all the time. I was like, why did you say that? What a douchebag thing to say. The guy wanted to meet me because he was a fan, and I'm a massive fan of his. And the best thing I could muster was, wow, you're really tall. He was like, yeah, he's a fucking moron.
Yeah, no, I've done that to Neil Magny. I was like, Neil Magny, how's it going? I made a joke about you. He's like, what? I'm like, you were voted most likely to skip legs day in high school. And then he just looked at me like, what? And I'm like, all right, man. I'll see you later. This is awkward, and I'm pretty good at that.
Oh, well, we all
hate
have our
famous
moments.
people. I hate it. The uncomfortable, you have to fucking be on. You feel like you have to. It is just the worst.
Yeah, because you can't just if you with your buddies or your friends, you can't just, I'm a little tired today, so I'm just not going to say much. I'm just going to lean against the bar and sip on my drink. When someone comes over like that, you've got to be on, right? You got to have a charismatic, you got to have a personality, be charismatic and all this type of stuff. You got to engage with them. Whereas for the most part, when I'm at home, I'm pretty miserable. You know what I mean? I don't like to be on. I don't like to perform. I mean, I don't know. You two are both comedians. Do people expect that from you two?
Oh yeah. Like, oh, you don't seem too funny, or how come you don't, tell me a joke, or it's just always. Although I do like to meet porn stars and be like, I'm a big fan. What's your name? That's always a good. I always like to do that. Just to annoy them.
I do the same thing to porn stars that people do to me. I'm like, what? You don't want to blow me right now? Like, come on. Like, you just don't want to do that? I mean, whatever. I think that, people always expect you to be on, and that's the other thing is like when I'm not on stage or podcasting or whatever, I literally want to just be left alone. I don't want to be funny. I don't want to be charismatic. I don't want to be charming. I want to just be in my head. That's actually the problem with performing stand-up comedy in particular is you sort of like, because when we were kids, and Bisping, you're cut from the same cloth. You're a funny motherfucker, right? So you were always funny. Like in high school, I guarantee you were the kid at the lunch table making your friends laugh. You were a fucking ball buster. That's who you are.
I was trying to be, but I wasn't in the popular group. So you know what I mean?
Even out of your group of friends, you were still funny, Like
no, for sure. I always had confidence.
Learn that trait, you know what I'm saying? But what happens when you start doing stand-up is you start to think about what you're saying. You start to go, oh, I could use that on stage. And you take yourself out of conversations where you would normally just be sort of engaged and trying to be funny and ball bust with your friends or whatever it is. And you sort of, you take that funny and you're trying to package it and it almost becomes fake. It's a weird, sad thing. I was way funnier when I was a kid where I wasn't even trying to be funny. I was just funny.
I always feel like I'm letting people down after a good set because I feel like I'm really.
You are. I've seen your act.
Thank you. I'm really funny. If I do well on stage, and then afterwards, people are like, they want to hang out, and they expect the show to continue. And then I'm like, I don't want to tell jokes anymore. And then I feel like people think I'm either a dick or I don't care, or I'm just not funny. And that's always like the hard part.
Yeah, it's like, God, this guy isn't hilarious like he's on stage. He's like, yes, I'm doing a fucking act. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So we've been going for a while there, Lou. So we got any questions that we can finish off the show with?
Yeah, we'll do some fan questions with Adam Hunter as well. Adam, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you guys go download the MMA Roasted podcast. Support Adam and Jason Mayhem Miller, officially the co-host on that show.
We're working things out. We got right now. No. Right now, no.
Lewis, what are you doing? Just shut the fuck up. It's Adam Hunter's podcast.
Never mind.
Jason needs his own podcast. Jason definitely needs his own thing. He's a very talented guy, and I love Jason. But right now, we're figuring out what the fuck's going on.
Okay. It was great when I came on, and all he tried to do was discredit my career. That was awesome. I went on there. He's like, "Hey, man. Hey. Do you think that you being best buddies with Dana White served you well in the promotion?" And I'm like, well, winning fights primarily is what you got to do. It doesn't matter who you're friends with. If you lose fights, you're not going to do well. And he's like, yeah, but you were like best buds with Dana White. And I'm like, not really. Me and Dana have had a good relationship, and we are friends, but we don't go to clubs
and also
together.
Welcome to the business of anything you're in. You want your boss to like you, and you got to perform. You got to perform at a high level. And if your boss likes you and you're performing at a high level, you'll probably be really successful.
Yeah, it's like anything in the world. It's relationships, like with comedy, with fighting, with acting, with any form of business. It's not what you can do, it's who you know. Right now, of course, in the fight game, it is kind of what you can do as well. But you do want to have healthy relationships with the organization, with the promoters, with the nightclub owners, whatever you guys are doing. So anyway, he was trying to discredit me a little bit there. And I was like, dude, if I hadn't won my fights, then that would have been it. And it's not like me and Dana are going off out to fucking dinner or hitting the club every night. It's not like that. We have a healthy business relationship, and that's about it. We are buds, but we're not best buds. But anyway, we're not here to shit on Jason.
Oh, even if like guys like Kolby Covington who say the worst shit about Dana, they keep winning fights. So Dana has to put him in there.
Yeah.
That's what I like about MMA. What I loved about wrestling in high school, or anything, is that if you win, you're gonna be the champ, and it doesn't matter who your dad is or who this is.
Yeah.
And same thing with stand-up comedy, which is, I got into comedy because it was the most like wrestling. Because wrestling, I was never the best athlete ever. I was never the best, most talented.
Come on, I don't believe it. No. You look like the best athlete we've ever seen.
But I showed up early and I left late every single practice, and I went to every wrestling camp and every week. And then eventually I ended up winning, the New Englands and the States, and gotten to college wrestling, was because of work ethic. And when I stopped wrestling, I'm like, well, what else could I find that actually I like doing that it's all work ethic? And that was stand-up comedy, because even if you I'm never the most talented comic. I can't do impressions. I can't sing. I can't do voices. I can't do this. But if I just work on joke, and as many jokes as I can and per minute, then the audience has to laugh. And it was the biggest correlation between comedy and wrestling. And that's what I love about MMA, it's the most pure. Like Lewis, you and I both know that a lot of the guys you see on Netflix or Comedy Central or whatever are not the best comics. You just watch the special, but they had the right management and they had the right person behind them. And the management company behind the scenes says, hey, you know, we'll give you Brian Regan for the Montreal Comedy Festival, but you have to take Joe Smith. And Joe Smith could suck, but they want Brian Regan. So they're like, all right, now Joe Smith, new faces. Where that's not going to happen in MMA. They're not going to say, all right,
you can only get so many favors. You know, you have to be able to win. But then it's like, you know, it's almost like a foregone conclusion. Like, win every fight, be undefeated, but then get everybody to like you as well. And the sky's the limit. It's as simple as that. And you don't have to go into fighting, or it's almost any business you do. If you work in an office environment, kill it. Go to work every day and kill it. Be the best employee you could possibly be. But if the boss also likes you, and you're a person that everyone in the office is going like, hey, they will grease the path for you, and it'll be a lot easier. And that's everybody listening to this can take that advice and use that in life.
Well, I mean, that's a great thing about sports, right? It transcends class. You know, sports don't give a fuck how much money you got. You know, a lot of places, a lot of social functions, if you're not, you know, from the right families or whatever, doors might not open. But in sports, regardless of what the sport is, if you're good at that sport, if you can throw a fucking basketball and hit the hoop, get it in the hoop every fucking time, or you're a great fighter, a great boxer, a great football player, whatever it is, if you're talented, the talent will transcend whatever kind of discrimination you may face, whether that be class, background, religion, whatever it is. If you're good at that fucking sport, you'll do well in that sport. And it's funny, I was hearing Tom Brady was talking to Howard Stern on his show a few days ago, and I heard Howard Stern mention, he asked Tom Brady, he said, did you ever feel any kind of backlash because you were the great white hope, so to speak? You kept winning all the Super Bowls, but you were a white guy from a decent background. Was there any kind of problems that you encountered in the locker room? And he was like, no, not in the slightest. There was none of that. I said, when we were in the locker room, race is not seen. He said, we're here to play a game. We're here to play a game of football and be the best team we can be. We're not thinking who's black, who's white, who's brown, yellow, whatever the fuck it is. We're here to win a game. So as I say, back to the original point, sport transcends all of that, you know, whatever kind of class you're from or whatever background. And that's the beautiful thing about it. So Jason Miller can go fuck himself.
But Bisping, do you think that the UFC sort of is getting away from that a little bit? Because like a guy like Kolby Covington, when he was undefeated and 12-0 and no one gave a fuck about him, all of a sudden becomes Joe Trump and everyone now loves him. So but do you think he kind of
well, I don't know if everybody loves him. When he walked out for his last fight against Kamaru Usman, right? He got booed to high heaven. Yeah, of course there was a lot of supporters there as well, and it's like most times. But having talent, because there is a certain entertainment element to it, right? And that's some of the people criticize it for that these days. But if you're really good, but you're not drawing fans in, if you're not polarizing, if people don't give a shit, because you see some fighters on the undercards, they got the skills, but then they get the microphone afterwards and they waste the opportunity. They just say, I'm just happy to take whoever the UFC give me, you know, and I'm just here to make up the numbers. All right, great, get off. Probably won't give you an interview next time because that fucking sucked. But if you're polarizing, you have some kind of personality, you don't necessarily have to say the right thing, but say fucking something, show some energy, and you can fight and you can win your fights. I mean, I was polarizing right from day one. Some people liked me. Most people fucking hated my guts, certainly out here in America. But if you're winning fights and you're polarizing on the microphone or controversial, or you just say something, then doors will open and you'll do better, as opposed to being the guy that's like a choir boy. Like Rory Macdonald, there's a guy, he actually did pretty well. So he's not the best example. He did pretty well. He had some big fights prior to going to Bellator. But again, he was a guy that was very, very quiet. He was a world-class fighter, an absolute killer inside the octagon. But he didn't have that big, big following because he was a man of, you know, a few words, so to speak.
Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of, I wouldn't say irritates me, but a little bit. I worry that like they're going to keep guys around because, let's say, Mike Perry, bad example, but Mike Perry, because he's lost 3 fights in a row, but because he's so insane, like we're going to keep him around, but we're going to cut a guy like Elias Theodoro because he won 9 out of 10 fights. But But by the way, I love Elias. I'm not shitting on Elias, but the fights, he did win some of the fights, but I've got to be honest, they weren't the most exciting fights. Mike Perry, people want to see good fights. And I think it's more important that you put on good fights rather than just winning all the time.
right? If you win all the time, but no one gives a shit and they're not enjoying the fights. And as I say, I'm friends with Elias. We have the same management. I think a lot of Elias. I think he's a great person. I think he's a very, very skilled fighter. He's very unorthodox and he's a hard puzzle to defeat. But for the casual viewer watching that, they don't appreciate it. A guy like Mike Perry, if you look at that fight that he had against Vicente Luque, it was a fucking back and forth war. And his face was his nose, was all over his face by the end of it, and he lost that fight. But I can't wait to see that guy fight again.
And more memorable than most of the other fights, just in general. People just talked about that fight. I mean, a lot of people consider it a fight of the year. So, and to be honest with you, and you'd agree with this, Bisping, there's not one path. There's not one set path. There's a bunch of different paths. You've seen success in George St. Pierre, right? Who is probably, stopped having that crazy rush style and became a little bit more boring toward the end, right? Was never a killer on the microphone. I think he had that one crazy moment where he got on his knees and begged Dana White for the title. And that was this, that the goosebump moment. But he never, I don't really, GSP ever had any other crazy moments on the microphone.
He had the I am not impressed with your performance. He had that against Matt Hughes. That was a good one. But you're right, and that's a good example. And the point you said there does stand. There isn't one way, right? You haven't got to be loud, controversial. You haven't got to be Conor McGregor. You haven't got to be winning all of your fights. Although, if you want to be a champion, you want to be winning all your fucking fights. I'm talking about remaining part of the UFC's roster. You want to win more than what you lose. You want to bring something to the table. If you're bringing something to the table, right, and you're not a fucking dick to work with, that's a big part of it as well. If you're a pain in the ass for the promotion to deal with, when you lose fights and they can get rid of you, I know I would. If I'm at the helm and this guy's a dick, he's constantly asking for more money, constantly wants this, he's not good fight week, he doesn't do his promotional duties, he doesn't do interviews, he doesn't take the PR seriously, and he's losing fights, well, guess what? See you, buddy. You're out the fucking door. And that's, again, it's life. And as Lewis said, there is no one path. Generally, what you want to do is win your fucking fights. Win. That's first and foremost. Everything else is secondary.
Win your fights and get your bosses to like you. Those are some pretty simple ones.
Yeah. Well, you don't necessarily need even the boss to like you. I mean, look at Dana White and Tito Ortiz. Classic example there. Tito
Dana is my bitch. He wore a T-shirt. That's crazy.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So there isn't one path.
Remember they were going to box each other?
I actually did an interview for that back in the day. And when they were supposed to fight, I just come off the Ultimate Fighter 3 and they were going to box each other. So I got interviewed on who I thought would win. I'm brand new to the UFC. I'm selling out all day long. Yeah, Dana used to be a professional boxer. And I didn't even believe the words that were coming out of my mouth as I said it. Do you know what I mean? But I'm like, fuck that.
Was that fight ever even going to happen? From a fan's perspective, I was watching it.
You guys talk. I'm going to be right back.
No, good. Do you think?
Sorry.
They did this lead up and build up to this thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh shit, is it really gonna happen? I don't remember. It was like a special. It was more than one like countdown show, right? It was a few different weeks.
It was Dana Tito, just boxing. Dana made weight. He sparred. He brought in professional boxers. And I mean, I definitely would have watched it. You wouldn't have watched it?
I would have watched it for sure, but it fell apart. I'm trying to remember the details of what happened while it was happening, because it was supposed to happen. It was on Spike TV. Like they were doing these specials and leading up to it. It was just bizarre.
I talked to Jenna Jameson about it or something, and she was like, they were like, Dana, Tito, what do you have to win from this? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Like, there's no upside here.
I guess Ortiz never showed up to the weigh-ins. Is that what happened?
Yeah. I used to watch Celebrity, but you watch Celebrity Boxing back in the day when Vanilla Ice fought Willis from Different Strokes?
Yeah, I'll watch them here and there. I'm surprised they haven't put together some sort of celebrity MMA league where you actually watch. I feel like people are ripe for that type of entertainment. People would love to watch something like that.
I mean, bare knuckle boxing, I think, is awesome. Like,
you like it?
Yeah, I didn't think I would like it at first, and then I was like, "This is crazy." It was entertaining as hell.
Mike, before you jump in, let me just plug a couple things. We probably don't. We can save the questions for Thursday's show. But real quick, guys, you love the show. Please go subscribe on our iTunes channel right now. Leave us a 5-star ranking and a positive review. Subscribe on our YouTube channel as well. We're on Google Play, Stitcher, really anywhere you could download or watch a podcast. You can grab the latest 30 episodes are all available everywhere you can grab them. And then if you want the entire on-demand library with pre-release and uncensored episodes, just go to gasdigitalnetwork.com. We're giving away a free 30-day trial right now. Use the promo code BYM30. You get a free 30 days to the premium service. Mr. Bisping, did you wash your hands?
did wash my hands for 20 seconds and I stayed nowhere near my wife. But it's funny you mentioned 30 because we still have 30 pairs of Sanibel gloves and pads to give away. Okay.
Adam, do you want 3 pairs of gloves?
So listen, remember, send in your video content, your questions, all that good stuff to bym@gmail.com. BYMpod. BYMpod@gmail.com. We will be giving them away real soon. How long we've been going for here? Probably close to wrapping this one up, I would have said.
Yeah. That's really it. There's nothing else crazy in the news. We got a couple stories to say for Thursday's show. Thursday, we're back, right?
What have you got on for the rest of the week, Adam?
I'm doing the Eastville Comedy Club. They have like this thing tomorrow night.
Whoa. Hold on. You're going to a comedy club and you're performing.
It's like a live stream to raise money to keep the Eastville Comedy Club open.
Yeah, I hate that guy. I hate the owner. Fuck him. Fuck his club.
Okay. All right. Well, then I have really.
Yeah, I hate that guy.
I'm so out of like the New York.
Yeah, he's a real dickhead.
All right.
Oh, you got to respect the guest, bro. You got to respect the
guest.
guest.
Adam's club. Adam's doing the guy solid.
Listen. We spoke about this. We sent out the contracts. We went through it. The mandate of how we treat our guests. Okay, we said we have to agree with them. We want guests to come back on. What's the name of the guy again that you're doing it with, Adam?
Esther Koo.
Esther Koo.
Yeah, Koo. She's
not even a big fan of Koo, to be honest.
What do you want from the guy? I didn't know this. The guy hit me up and said, I used to know him 20 years ago. He said, like,
I'm kidding.
Lewis, repeat after me. I love Lester Koo.
Dude,
Bisping it's so funny that I will. Yes, fine. I do love Lester Koo.
Dude, one of the funniest things he's ever done. I was listening to Sirius Radio to your old show back in the day, and Lewis had to read a promo, and the promo for Sirius is like, "Hey guys, right now the NHL hockey the playoffs are going on right now," and he's like, "Wait, that's our strategy? You want people to fucking leave our show to go?" He said that on the air, like during the read, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no, I remember it. I remember it. He reads out. He's like, "Oh, look, listen. If you guys are big hockey fans, go over to channel 307 or whatever it is right now to catch the game." And then I'm like, Whoa. We're trying to build listeners. We're not trying to send them. If you happen to stumble across our channel, then fucking well stay here.
Fuck hockey. Fuck the NHL channel.
As I'm wearing a hockey shirt. Fuck hockey.
Dude, I'll tell you right now, Adam Hunter, our producers were not happy with the antics that me and Bisping would regularly go through. It was so funny, dude. Marissa, God bless her soul, she would get so upset. There'd be times we just wouldn't watch the UFC event, and she'd be like, "No, you guys have to watch the UFC event. You can't not watch the UFC event." Like, yeah, we're both busy this weekend. She gets so
you're fighting with your own commercial. I was like, I never saw a guy fight with his own commercial. Like, he started like he's like fighting with himself. It was hilarious. Driving, I was like, this is the best commercial I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, I guess what? On that note, I guess we'll leave it there. Adam, got to say thank you so much for joining us. Check out MMA Roasted on Twitter, on Instagram as well, Adam.
On Instagram, it's Adam Comedian.
Okay. Adam Comedian, MMA Roasted on Twitter. Keep an eye out for that stuff. Hope you're all well. Hope you have a great week. We'll be back with another show on Thursday. Until then, take care. Look after yourselves.